Hello everyone. Today on Transformation Tuesday, we are diving in to healthy weight gain in pregnancy. So what is too much? What's too little? What does the research say? If you are just joining in, I'm Marie and I help women have more peaceful pregnancies and easier births. So that's what I'm all about. And I wanted to give you today some clarity around this whole weight gain thing. Because, weight can be a tricky thing anytime, but especially in pregnancy. And while sometimes you might feel like the mama goddess that you truly are, other times you just might feel like a frumpy nothing fits mess. And eating for two, how accurate is that? Hi Susan, thanks for joining in live. So how healthy is eating for two? Is it as big a deal as we make it? What is healthy weight? Let's dive in, let's figure it out. So the first thing I want to share, and I think this might give you a sense of comfort, is that your body will put your baby first, no matter what. That is the way biologically you are set up. So while maybe you don't eat perfect all of the time, you got to know that your body is always supporting your baby and giving your baby everything it can. It is literally putting your baby first all the time. So give me some examples so it's like more concrete. So for example, your calcium. If you need a lot of calcium in pregnancy because you have to build a whole new skeleton completely from scratch. And so in order to do that, if you're eating enough calcium, your body will just use the calcium you're eating. If you're not though, what'll happen is your body will actually leach the calcium out of your bones in order to give it to your baby. And same thing with iron, because you have to build a whole blood system for your baby and you need iron for that. Your body will take the iron out of your blood and give it to baby. So you may be iron low, but your baby won't be. So I think that kind of helps if you're ever just concerned of like, is my baby going to be okay? Have I gained enough weight? Have I gained too much? Generally speaking, baby is okay because your body puts baby first. Okay, so hopefully to start off, that kind of puts you like a little at ease. Okay, then how much is healthy weight gain in pregnancy? Well, the answer to that depends a little on where you were starting out from. What was your pre-pregnancy weight? And in fact, when we look at what the research actually says, whether you gain like 10 pounds or like 40 pounds in your pregnancy seems to matter actually less than what was your weight beforehand, and it was that weight what is considered clinically obese. So just so everyone's kind of clear with the terms, we use body mass index to figure out where a person is. So normal, what we consider normal body mass index is somewhere between 25 to 35. And how we figure this out, you can just find it, just Google like how to figure out my body mass, but basically it is your weight in kilos divided by your height in meters squared. So if you're curious what your kind of body mass, where you fit, just Google it and there'll be a calculator where you just have to put in your stuff and it'll calculate it for you. Okay, so this is pre-pregnancy, not during your pregnancy. Okay, so pre-pregnancy, normal is 25 to 35. Underweight is, overweight. I didn't write that down. Sorry, that might be a wrong number. Sorry guys. Okay, so anyways, overweight is a body mass index higher than 25, and clinically obese is when it's higher than 30. So if you were starting your pregnancy and you were clinically obese, that's in terms of like when we look at all the research about pregnancy weight gain, what seems to matter is if you were clinically obese at the start of the pregnancy, that is related to statistically more complications, both in the pregnancy, like things like higher risk of gestational diabetes, higher risk of C-sections, higher risk of preeclampsia, stuff like that. So some of those serious things. And so if you are listening to this and you happen to be listening because you're planning to get pregnant, it is actually really good to see if you can attain a a healthy weight before you get pregnant, that actually statistically, if we look at the research, does actually make a difference. Now, what the, what they've created is health guidelines around how much weight to gain based on where you started from. So if you are a normal body mass index, they're going to give you a recommendation. This is probably what your doctor is going to share with you, is that anywhere between like 25 to 35 pounds would be good and healthy and normal. If you were underweight when you started your pregnancy, you could gain all the way up to 40 or even 50 pounds. And if you were overweight or obese, then they would lower that, and healthy weight gain would be more like up to 15 or to 20 pounds, okay? But here's the thing. When they actually looked at the research, it's almost like splitting hairs, right? Like yes, a baby, there is a correlation between you gaining less weight and then having a smaller baby, and you gaining more weight and having a larger baby. But actually, I feel like we make a big deal about gaining too much weight, but in terms of the outcomes for babies, there are more negative outcomes with gaining too little weight, actually. So that would be like small gestational age. That can be associated with some breathing troubles and some troubles regulating blood sugar levels. However, I don't want you to freak out if you're in your first trimester and you haven't gained any weight, or maybe you've lost weight, because that really happens too. So this is over the course of the entire pregnancy. And what throws women off is because a lot of times the charts that we have to measure this look like this. It's like this steady, slow increase every week. And your doctor's comparing you to a chart like that. But that chart is not actually representative of the way that women gain weight in pregnancy. We gain weight in pregnancy in fits and starts, right? This is actually the same way that babies grow. In the first year of your baby's life, you're going to notice that they don't always consistently put on their weight like this, right? They'll have a time where they might stay the same weight, but they're getting longer, right? Or then they might suddenly grow a lot because they're like having one of those growth spurts. So they and very much we in pregnancy as women, we grow in fits and spurts. So in the first trimester, you might not see very much weight gain, or you might see some weight loss if you're really have a lot of troubles with morning sickness and you're not keeping a lot of food down, right? And then in the second trimester, that's where we often see the largest weight gain. And if you're in your second trimester and you're noticing the scale going up and up and you're like, oh my God, and you're starting to do that extrapolation game where you're like, if I continue at this rate, then by the end of the pregnancy, I'm gonna be like at this number, and oh my God. Please, please do not do that, okay? Don't extrapolate, because you're not gonna have that same, it's not gonna go up like this, okay? And if you're in your second trimester and you suddenly gained a lot, don't start freaking out about that, because the second trimester is when most women gain the most weight, and that is a lot of water weight. So you have to build 50% more blood volume. This is a tremendous amount of blood that you have to build, okay? And in order to do that, that's liquid. So you have to add in all this extra fluid into your body. Plus you start to build up more of that amniotic fluid too. And so that's a lot of the weight that comes in that second trimester. Now with the third trimester, this can kind of vary. For some women, for everyone, we're going to add some fat weight in the third trimester. So you may notice, this is the other interesting thing, is that fat gets deposited in different places during pregnancy than it does typically. So if you notice where you typically put on weight, it may be a little different. One of the places that pregnancy we put on weight is at the top of our thighs. So I got little stretch marks on the top of my thighs in pregnancy. So if anyone out there is like, what is happening to my thighs? This is normal, okay? Top of the thighs, bum, those are really common places to carry, and around those hips is a really common places to put on that fat. And why is your body putting on fat? Basically, it's because your body assumes that you're gonna breastfeed. whether you are or not, your body biologically assumes that you are going to need fat in order to burn calories. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to create enough nutrients for a entirely separate person. And so because of that, your body is going to put on some extra weight. You may even notice your arms. If you're wondering why are these getting bigger, that is also for that same reason. So yes, third trimester, you might notice that extra weight in those areas. And that one you're going to notice because, you know, it's physically bigger, right? Thighs are bigger, arms are bigger, bum is bigger, the whole thing. The other weight gain in the third trimester, and this is really variable, is the water weight. This can vary from woman to woman up to 11 pounds. This is a lot. So just normal healthy variation on amniotic fluid weight can vary up to 2 pounds. And then swelling, if you're swelling, you can have an extra 9 pounds of weight that is just water. So if you can't fit on your wedding ring anymore and you can't see your ankles, that's a lot of water weight, especially in that third trimester. Now, the good thing about the water weight is that it comes off really easy. These are the women who, like, you know, 4 days after baby is born have lost like 20 pounds. That's usually primarily water weight. Swelling, though, is not very comfortable. It's not the best thing for pregnancy. It can be associated with some of those, like the preeclampsia, toxemia stuff. So we do want, that's why your doctor is kind of checking on that. I might be able to do another video at some point on like healthy ways to reduce swelling. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do that. So that water weight can, the water weight can really also skew these numbers. And basically what the research shows is that it matters a ton less than we freak out about. So like I said, it's the most important things from the research, what we know, is if we can possibly enter pregnancy at a healthy weight, that's associated with healthier outcomes, healthier pregnancies overall. Then in your pregnancy, focus on eating healthy, right? You know how to eat, like I'm pretty sure you know how to eat healthy. We get this from like, you know, whole grains, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, enough protein, you know, stuff that isn't highly processed. The more that it's packaged in nature, the more of the, you know, real nutrients it's going to have. If we can focus just on eating healthy, I think that is going to go a long ways. And just know that if you gain like an extra 5, let's say the range for you is like 30 to 35 pounds is based on your body mass index. That's where your doctor would like to see you. And let's say that you go over that by like 2 or 3 pounds or 5 pounds. It's okay. It just means you might have to work a little harder to like take that weight off afterwards. But in terms of your pregnancy and the health of your baby, it's not going to be a huge deal. And so mostly, like, I want you to relax about the number on the scale. Here's the statistics. Do you know how many women go either over or under the recommended weight gain? Statistically, this is a huge study that was done. This was published in the Journal of American Medical Association, and it looked at 1.3 million pregnancies. That is a lot of pregnancies. Okay, the number of women who went either over or under, 70%. 70%, which kind of leads me to think that maybe our guidelines are a little bit too rigid, right? If 70% of women are outside of the guidelines. So it just means that most women are either, so 47% in that study with 1.3 million women, 47% gained too much. They were outside, like higher than the guideline, and 23% gained too little. That means that they were under the guideline. But when they looked at that, it wasn't really highly correlated or causation with worse outcomes. So I think overall we kind of freak out about weight gain a little bit too much. And sometimes with weight gain, the other thing, and like too little, it's hard. Yeah, sometimes we can say there's correlations, but are they causations? So for example, women who are underweight, right? If they are underweight, you know, it might be because they're very sick, or because they're smoking, or because they have an eating disorder. And actually the, you know, worse health outcomes are related to the smoking, the, you know, the weight, the sickness, or the eating disorder, not so much actually of the low weight. So this is where, even with the research, because with pregnancy research, you're always strapped by, you can't do placebo-controlled double-blind studies because you run into all these sort of ethical concerns. So if anything, the research suggests that there are more concerns with not gaining enough weight than with gaining too much. Okay, but like I said, if you're in your first trimester or early on in your second, you haven't gained too much weight yet, just chill, you still got time. Okay, this is over the course of the entire pregnancy. And overall, I want you to just take a deep breath. And here's if you have a most medical care providers, a good doctor, a good OB, a good midwife is going to be like, they're going to have looked at this research, and they're going to know that like the guidelines are rough, and that mostly we just got to chill out. And you know, if they're not making you freak out, then it's all good. And I know some of my gals have told me they do things like they got on the scale and they just turned their head around, so they didn't look at the numbers. And as long as their doctor was like, you're good, then they were like, I'm good. I don't need even to know the number. So if that's a strategy that works for you, go for it. If you find that your doctor is really nitpicking, like if they're really using that scale where it's like you have to grow like this, and if you're a little bit off in any particular week, they start freaking out, I think maybe you want to get a second opinion, because really it is so critical, and I've definitely said this before, it is so critical to find a healthcare provider. So this is a doctor, an OB, a midwife who is in alignment with you, who you can really feel like you're a team and you're working together. And so it is always okay to get a second opinion if you feel, because there really is, because I work with pregnant women all the time, I do hear stories of sometimes their healthcare providers are freaking them out for really nothing, when because a pound here or a little pound above, a little pound below, it in the grand scheme of things really doesn't matter. And if they're really freaking you out about it, then I would say you need to find someone who is more supportive. So that is weight gain in a nutshell. I hope this was helpful. If there are other topics you would like me to dive into, please let me know. Thanks for joining. See you guys next time.